Hello everyone. I would like to give you a brief introduction to the thinkFinance benchmarker, which is this function here in the main window. So let's do an example. Let's assume I want to benchmark two books in my portfolio, the US equity book, which contains a couple of US shares, and the UK equity book, which contains a couple of UK shares. So what I'm doing is I'm highlighting these two books in my main window and I'm opening the benchmarker. As you can see here, the benchmarker contains two subpanes, the risk-return analysis and the factor analysis. Let's start with the risk-return analysis. What you see here is a risk-return diagram where you see the portfolio that I've imported benchmarked in terms of the risk-return profile against standard equity and fixed income benchmarks. For example, the Euro Stoxx 50 and the Euro rate. On the right-hand side, you can select the fixed income and equity benchmarks that you want to include in this risk-return benchmark. For instance, I can add the S&P 500, which appears here, or the US dollar rate, which appears here. What you can also do down here is you can customize the time horizon for this benchmark. At the moment, I'm looking at the 1-year time horizon ending today, but I can easily change that. I can look at a 5-year time horizon and a different end date. You can also change the investment currency. At the moment, I'm using euros, which means all risk and performance figures that are displayed here are calculated from a euro perspective. But of course, I can change that to any other currency. So the risk-return analysis gives you a very easy to understand overview over the risk and return of your portfolio in comparison with standard fixed income and equity benchmarks. Let's move to the second pane, the factor analysis. What you can do in this pane is you can run a regression analysis of your portfolio against standard market risk factors in equity, foreign exchange, fixed income and commodities. And there are two ways you can do that here. One way is you select the risk factors that you want to include in the factor analysis yourself by choosing them in the selection tree. For example, if you want to use a certain exchange rate, you can choose the exchange rate here and import it as a risk factor into the factor analysis. The second way of using it is you let thinkFinance do the job. So you let thinkFinance find all the relevant risk factors that drive the risk of your portfolio. So let's do that. All you have to do is you click on Import Factors, and thinkFinance finds those market risk factors that drive the risk of your portfolio. And those factors are displayed here. And as you can see, thinkFinance found 4 risk factors that drive the risk of your portfolio, which is the benchmark for the US market, the S&P 500, and the benchmark for the UK market, the FTSE. Now that's not surprising because remember, I imported 2 books into this benchmarking analysis, my US book and my UK equity book. thinkFinance also found 2 exchange rates, the US dollar euro rate and the British pound euro rate, which is not surprising because of course my US equity book is quoted in dollars and my UK equity book is quoted in pounds, whereas my reporting currencies is euro. What you see on the right-hand side is the effective exposure of my portfolio to these 4 factors. What you can also see is the so-called R-square, which is 72%. And that's an interesting figure because what this means is that the market risk of my portfolio is explained to 72% by the risk of these 4 market factors, which means the remaining 28% of market risk in my portfolio is explained by the individual behavior of the shares in my book. So this analysis gives you a very easy to understand overview of what drives the risk of your portfolio. So what market factors drive the risk, and to what extent is the market responsible for driving the risk in your portfolio. Last but not least, instead of looking at the effective exposure of your portfolio to these factors, you can also look at the beta of your portfolio to these factors. And all you have to do is you change from absolute exposures to beta exposures. So you click on this button, and here you see now the beta of your portfolio to these 4 factors. Now, that concludes my introduction to the thinkFinance benchmarker. If you would like to know more about the benchmarker or any other function within thinkFinance, then please visit our website thinkfinance.eu. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.